Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I would like to talk about the fun phrase that I'm sure everybody and their mom has heard at this point, which is, you don't ask a fish how to fish, you ask the fisherman. While this may seem like somewhat conventional wisdom at the surface, it doesn't always apply, and it certainly doesn't apply to dating as it may in other scenarios. And so in today's video, I just want to talk about how I personally see some of the blind spots associated with this phrase and why I would highly discourage young men who actually want to form worth it relationships with women from using this phrase. So I completely agree that there are some situations where it makes sense to ask the fisherman. Absolutely. For example, if I was learning how to drive, I wouldn't ask somebody who doesn't know how to drive. That doesn't make any sense. That wouldn't give me any value. But let's say that I wanted to open a business. If I was looking to open a business, I would seek out advice from people who have already opened successful businesses, from people who can give me good tips and strategies for success, things that I should look out for to make sure that my business doesn't fail, etc. But in any business, the person who is most important is not you, it is not other businesses, it is actually the customer. It is the customer. So regardless of whether you like it or not, whether you're running a business, whether you are starting up a relationship, trying to get out there in the dating pool, customer feedback is inevitable. Your results are directly related to what customers think about your product. And in order to really be successful in building up a business or cultivating a healthy relationship, trying to show up the best that you can to increase your chances of success, you really got to understand what your customers are looking for. So I say all this to say that simply ignoring women who are ultimately the end user of whatever you are offering is not the best strategy if you really want to cultivate a long-lasting relationship and something really meaningful that is going to be fulfilling for most humans. Just because most humans probably are not going to be fulfilled in the long term by superficial relationships. Probably for some people it works, but I would imagine that men, just like many women, ultimately seek to find acceptance and love and partnership and trust and communication and all those good things in a long-term relationship. When I hear this kind of phrase from men, oftentimes it's either young guys who have just been kind of indoctrinated by like red pill, MGTOW narrative, anti-woman narrative, anti-women sentiment. It's either guys who are a bit more experienced, but maybe they have been hurt by women, or maybe they've just been hurt by women through continuous rejection and they've kind of lost hope and they've lost trust in women. Or it could just be guys who are just straight up misogynistic, which, I mean, if you are a misogynist at heart, then nothing is going to change that, I guess. But for those of you who don't want to be misogynists, I would really consider to think deeper about what that phrase really implies. Because ultimately it is just dismissing women's voices and their perspectives and experiences in relationships with men. If you are one of the men who has so greatly lost trust in women, if you really feel like you have no good, healthy examples in your life of women whose actions match their words, then I highly suggest to at least listen to women vicariously via men who have healthy relationships with women. You are going to learn a lot more from those kinds of men than from men who simply push one-sided narratives and only have negative things to say about women. Yes, it is important to acknowledge both negative and positive sides of any issue, but only having negative programming is certainly not going to set you up for success to ultimately find a fulfilling and happy relationship. If you have a healthy relationship with your mom, with sisters, or with female friends that you trust, don't be afraid to have these kinds of conversations about relationships, about dating with girls in your life and women in your life, because you can learn a lot. I will just leave you with one last thought. I have observed in my life relationships that have been successful, relationships that have been unsuccessful, both people who are closer to our age, our 20s and 30s, as well as individuals who are much older, especially the men who are older, who have lived through long-term marriages, who are truly content and happy in their relationships, really speak highly of their women, and they really recognize that women's voices absolutely do matter in the relationships. I hope to a larger degree they recognize that it matters in society. And so if you're a young guy watching who has fallen into some kind of rhetoric like this, and you're still wondering why you're not successful in relationships, the answer might be to change your thinking about women. So anywho, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you got any value out of it, feel free to drop a like, consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks.